Hello, my name is David Novak. I've been reading Memoirs of Hadrian by Marguerite Yourcenar. I'm beyond the halfway point now, and I'm finding that I am enjoying it. I like it more for the synthesis it is helping to provide me with historical knowledge. For example, Hadrian mentions that he has in the past visited the philosopher Epictetus before he died. The letter is being written to Marcus Aurelius, who will in the future become one of the big five emperors, I guess, the good emperors. And so Epictetus is probably my favorite philosopher. I like the Stoics in general, but I never understood where he was in the time sequence. So he was contemporary with Marcus Aurelius, a little bit at least, probably a little bit before him. And other names as well. Arrian is mentioned as a personal acquaintance who collected the writings of Epictetus, and one or two other figures. So I am enjoying it because probably I like it better as an aid to historical understanding than as a novel per se. I thought I would hunt online to see what kind of actual writing by Hadrian might exist, and I found something. There was an article by Paul J. Alexander that I found online, which discussed what we have of Hadrian's writing. There's not a lot, and quoted a fair amount of it. It was too much detail for me. It delves deep into the history, and I don't care to go that deep. But I found a little bit, and this is a speech that Hadrian made, I believe, shortly after his ascension to ruler of the empire, and it was very important for him to get the military on his side. So he says, military practice to some extent has its own limits. If anything is added or taken away, the practice becomes either of less value or more difficult. What indeed is added to the difficulty is subtracted from the agreeableness. You have done the most difficult of all difficult things. You have thrown the javelin clad in armor. I applaud your spirit also. He then goes on to talk about the construction of a winter camp. I think he points out some criticisms of some military exercises that they performed for him, but all in all, ends on a laudatory note. So it's a brief excerpt that exists, and I have to say that as much as I have criticized the Hadrian of Yourcenar as being a windbag, I think that Yourcenar has gotten a tone of Hadrian that seems very plausible. I don't see a great disparity between Yourcenar's Hadrian and the real thing. Now, there was one other thing I found in the article. Whoops. There we go. Sorry about that. There was one other thing that I found in the article by Alexander that kind of overlaps with a moment in the book. I'll just read Alexander here. Extremely few texts deal with Hadrian's personal affairs. An inscription has preserved the funeral speech of a son-in-law for his mother-in-law. The speaker has been identified with Hadrian, and the dead mother-in-law with the older Matidia, Augusta, who died before 119 AD. The inscription is badly mutilated, but the general trend of the speech can be reconstructed. Hadrian claims that he honored Matidia as if she were his own mother. She came, he says, to her uncle Trajan after he had taken over the principate, and from then on she followed him until his last day, accompanying him and living with him, honoring him as a daughter would, and she was never seen without him. He says that he is overcome with grief at her death, calls her the best mother-in-law, and speaks of her virtues. She was, he continues, most dear to her husband, and after his death, through a long widowhood, passed in the very flower and fullest beauty of her person, most chaste, most dutiful to her mother, herself a most indulgent mother, a most loyal relative, helping all, not troublesome to any, always in good humor. She never asked a favor of him, though he would have liked to grant it. She delighted only in her son-in-law's fortuna. So that is just a little bit of a glimpse of the actual writing of the Emperor Hadrian. This is the Yorsenar book which I am reading.